Hello, welcome back to Who Needs a Therapist When You Have a Friend podcast. This is Magenta, which, here we go. We're going back into it, you guys. We're starting with spring of 2018. This is when I am going to level 2 fieldwork, but first, before that, I'm having to retake my OTS 871. My teacher at this time was... I don't know the actual teacher. I guess I didn't put her on there because I didn't have any problems with her at that time. So I did put my OT that I had for the instructor for OTS 871, which was the other fieldwork that I went to. So that was with Julie Wells, and she worked at Jessamine County Schools. She was my OT that I worked with. We worked with preschool, kindergarten. I think it was Head Start and preschool children that we worked with during that time. Also, during 2018 of spring, we have Camille Skubik-Kaplowski. She is the fieldwork supervisor. We have Casey Humphrey, the assistant fieldwork supervisor. We have Jeff Helander, who is an OT at the Lexington VA for my level 2 fieldwork. And then we also have Colleen Schnick, which was the OT chair. We have John Dixon of the Equity and Inclusion Office. And then we have Lori, who was the Disability Office Director. So here's just me reading through what happened. I have all these emails, you guys. I literally have it in step by step. This is very hard for me to really talk about, you guys, because I feel like sometimes it really still haunts me in some ways because of how cruel these people were and how much they really tried to destroy me mentally, and they tried to just destroy me as a person because I had a disability and they didn't want to do their job correctly. But as an OT, you would think that they would want to do their job because OTs are supposed to help people with disabilities, and they're supposed to help them overcome to go and to do their jobs that they want to do, to be able to overcome the obstacles that they have, and they're supposed to be able to help them adapt and learn. But that's not what these OTs did at all. So here's what I believe happened during this time. Harassment, retaliation, no accommodations, a hostile environment, and feeling unsafe, and I had no one to talk to. So the first week of January, I had a meeting with Colleen to talk about the contract that I had signed for John Dixon. The contract had stated that I was to complete the components that I failed, and not the entire course, and she disagreed and would not honor it as it was written. So they didn't want to honor the contract that John Dixon had made for me to be able to go back and to do OT. So I ended up having to repeat all the work of the entire course of 871. So they had broke that entire contract, and they were going to they made me redo this entire class that was like an 8-week course, and they made me redo it in 3 weeks. So we had an 8-week course that they made me do in 3 weeks. When I tried to talk to John Dixon, I was informed that he could not talk to me about the contract at all because the legal team was now looking over the contract, which they had already broke by this point. So, additionally, early in January of 2018, my accommodations did not get sent out for OTS 871, which was another 3-week course, the one that I was having to retake that I had literally took 8 weeks prior because, the class was 8 weeks prior. Maybe it was even a 16-week course, however many months it is that you would normally do a normal class, which is August, September, October, November. And then, so that's 4, 6, 8, 12-week course they wanted me to redo in 3 weeks. So, something like that. And it was just okay, but remember you guys, I had failed. I had gotten an F. I had gotten an F with Jamaica Richards for OTS 871. They wanted me to retake this class that I got an F in, OTS 871, and take it again for a 3-week course only. So, on January 17th of 2018, I went and I asked Julie Wells if she thought that there was anything I needed to work on. She just said that I needed to be peppier with the children. But other than that, I was doing well. So she said that I wasn't very peppy and excited to be like working with the preschool children. Well, one, I'm not a very peppy person, but two, also I was going through so much mentally because they had just told me like a few weeks ago that I wasn't going to be an OT and that they were failing me because they didn't like me basically. And then I was having to go and be super happy, peppy, magenta with like preschool children to like be so happy, and I wasn't happy. So then 2 days later, on the 19th of January, I asked my OT 871 teacher if there's anything I needed to work on. She told me no, that I was doing well. This made me feel good. It was also very nice to know that she was using my intervention that I had made every day with the kids. That made me feel more confident in myself and giving me everything that had happened. I felt like I needed that boost. So she was making this OT for this OTS 871 that I only had 3 weeks to like work with the children. She was making me feel like I could be an OT. It was like she was believing in me. She made me feel good. Like I actually thought this woman like cared about me. I did not tell her about my disability. I did not tell her why I was retaking OTS 871. I didn't tell her anything, and so she had made me feel so good about myself. And I was like, wow, I can do this, I needed that because at this time I was broken. I mean, I was shattered, that I was having to retake it and that I had been failed and that I had to deal with all of this other stuff. I was shattered. So then on 131 of 2018, I was told by Julie Wells that under the circumstances that I was in, that she would not fail me, but I deserved to fail OTS 871 because I didn't show enough confidence in myself. And I was like, what kind of circumstances is she talking about? Because she should have not known anything about my contract. She should have not known anything about my contract. She should not have been told anything because I didn't tell her anything. All I did was try my best to be there. I told her I was a little bit unconfident because I had been mentally maybe I had told her I was mentally worried about it and I just wanted to do the best job that I could, but I did not tell her why I was retaking OTS 871. I did not want her to be biased. I didn't want her to do any of those things, and here she is telling me that I deserve to fail OTS 871. That I deserve to fail. This woman said this out of her freaking mouth after she had told me on 119 that I was doing good and that I was being more confident in myself. And then this woman had the audacity to say, you deserved to fail OTS 871, but due to the circumstances that you're in, I'm going to pass you. Really? Where did she give me any indication there that I was going to fail? She freaking didn't. She did not. And excuse me for saying that, you guys, but I just literally, honestly, I just forgot that she had even said this. I just can't believe she said that. And I remember, now that we're looking back on it, her saying that to me crushed me. Because I was trying my best, you guys. I was trying my absolute best. I really thought that this woman, thought better of me. And I was sadly mistaken. It feels like I'm always misjudging people's character, every time I go through my life. And it's just so heartbreaking because I always think that if someone is going to be nice, every person has a good, kind heart. But clearly that's just not the case, It's really just not the case, and it was very heartbreaking to me during that time, and I am literally crying just thinking about it now, because I can't believe that this woman said that. And then I said, her loop comment, I said, her comment threw me for a loop. Why would she say that? Under the circumstances, and use the word fail. I knew she was good friends with Colleen and Camille, and I felt like they had been talking about me, and that would have been the only way, because she was. They were. I just couldn't prove it. I wish I could go back and prove it. It was so awful. So then early in February of 2018, Camille sent me numerous emails about how no place. Okay, so she's saying that an no OT place at any of her things would accommodate me, and that I needed to pick one of the places because there were no options. So this woman's telling me that there's no option to give me an accommodation, which my accommodation at the time was for extra time on writing notes, and definitely spell check and grammar was part of it. And then I'm trying to think what else it was. I'm pretty sure that's it, you guys. Those were the accommodations at the time. Yeah, look here. I found my accommodation for February of 2018. So for this, it was double time for quizzes and exams. Well, we didn't have that. Digital recording for a smart pen and note taking. Well, I didn't even use that. Meeting with instructors for extra feedback on assignments. So she told me that no OT would talk to me about extra feedback for doing the job as a level 2 fieldwork employee. They also told me that I could not use my own iPad or laptop for Read Write Gold software, that I could only use theirs. And that I wouldn't get deducted for slightly misspelled words or punctuation because, I needed a grammar, I needed spell check. Also, it said student will type Snope notes into student's laptop with my software, and then I will have my own Soap notes used to the clinical person within the next morning, because that was giving me, I was able to take my notes home so I could work on them and then feed them back. And nowhere was I going to, break confidentiality or anything, because guess what? Real OTs probably take their notes home, don't they? But I wasn't going to get accommodated because this woman said, numerous emails on how no place would accommodate me and that I needed to pick a place that was better, with better options. I had no other options but what she could give me, and none of them were going to be able to give me my accommodation to take my note home and work on it myself. Really? So, what the heck? You know what I'm saying? What? That's unacceptable. I'm sure other people who write out notes for OTs now, they take home their, stuff. So that was very upsetting. So then in February, Camille told me that she wanted to rip up the paper, saying that she could talk about my accommodations in the level 2 field work. So this woman's I'm going to rip up these papers and I'm not going to talk to anyone about your accommodations or anything like that. And I was like, okay. So she just went through I remember her sitting in that seat, all angry, rolling her chair around, screaming it. And so then in February of 2018, I started a field work at a Lexington VA hospital under a OT instructor named Jeff Helander. First, I would like to establish the fact that I was only at the VA for a total of 8 days, which would have accounted for 64 hours. Out of the 64 hours, I was left unattended at the site of my OT. Okay, so Jeff Helander for 8 hours. So out of 64 hours, I'm a newly put person into a new level 2 field work, and this OT left me for 8 hours. So basically a whole day I was left alone without my supervisor being in a brand new facility. Okay, that's really important. Okay, on Friday, February 16th, of 2018, I was left for 2 hours at a lunchtime he did not leave me with a list of activities or instructions to do with clients or anything. Mr. Helander said he was going to counseling because he was being an enabler and left me on my own. Then the next day on 2/17, and then also again on 2/20, he told me on these 2 separate days, on 2/17 and 2/20, he told me that Camille continued to call him about me and he was being badgered by her about me, telling him things about me and my past experiences, that she was worried about me doing well there and wanted to make sure things like this would not happen, except she would not talk about my accommodations. So she would call this man. She called this man on a weekend, because on the 16th was a Friday when he left me alone. She called him on the 17th, which was the next day, and told him that all this bad stuff about me. And the only reason I knew that he had told her, or that she had told him all of these things, is because he would tell me these things. So then he also did not want to accommodate me at all, and said that he would. So he did not want to accommodate me. He did not want to allow me to send my notes home. He did not want me to have, literally at the VA, they did not have spell check on their emails. Okay, you guys, they did not have spell check. They did not have anything, okay? So then Jeff would also made negative comments about how my grammar was when in written feedback. If I wrote something down, he would make fun of it, because this guy was a grammar Nazi, and he would pride himself in being a grammar Nazi. So he would make comments about my writing. It just it was just so bad. Okay. So then we move on to Wednesday, the 21st of February. He said that I was busy making splints unattended without learning direction, and that I should have been learning how to formulate a note. However, he is the one that told me to go and practice a splint, since I did not have computer access at the time, and I had already watched him do notes. So I had been sitting there just watching this man write notes out on his computer, and he told me, since I didn't have computer access, that I could go practice making a splint for hands. Because if I didn't mention, they also sent me to this OT place that did specialize in hand therapy, which hand therapy was its own beast as its own thing. And I knew I wasn't a hand therapist, because one, I didn't go to the classes for hand therapy because it was a specialized class, and two, when we did general learning of splints in my first splint making course, I would have never wanted to be at a place that specialized in hand therapy, because I knew that I was not a hand therapist. So I did know that. But instead, he decides to make a complaint saying that I was doing activities that were not what I was supposed to be doing. So then the next day, we are on February 22nd. He then slammed the government keyboard on the table because he got mad. After seeing this and talking with him on the 23rd, he made me scared of him to talk to anyone about anything, because he told me that I was going to fail on 02/23, and then I noticed that he had a problem with me that day because he was so angry. He was telling me that I was going to fail. You guys, I had only been there since not even the beginning of February. So I had only been there 8 days. So I'm guessing mid-February I started, probably the 11th of February. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh, I started on the 12th of February. So then we're moving on into the next week, which would have been week 2. So I had only seen this man for 5 days plus 3 other days. And it was a Tuesday, because I'm pretty sure there was President's Day or something that we didn't go to work that day during all that time of the 8 days. So, yeah. I don't know what was going on there. He told me that I did not know how to diagnose hand therapy, and was saying that I was not studying on my own. I kept asking him what he wanted me to study, what he wanted me to look up, and he would say nothing. Until finally on 8/23, he told me what to do, which I did, but apparently it wasn't enough. So I made an entire notebook of hand therapy and all the things. And again, I say, hand therapy was a specialized class. you would have had to have taken specializing like classes because your hands have so many muscles, so many tendons, so many things in bones in your hand that you should have took a specialized therapy for hand therapy, okay? So them throwing me into specialized hand therapy was very difficult for me. But I had a whole notebook of hand therapy that I could just go through all the notes and all these things. So then we go to the second Friday, which is on the 23rd. That's when he told me that my handwriting wasn't enough and all these things. Then Jeff Helander said that he was taking a lunch break and left me again without any instructions or directions for 3 hours. So then this day, he's leaving me for 3 hours. He left to fix his garage door to go to counseling again. At the end of the day, he told me that I had received a red flag from Casey Humphrey and Camille. It was shocking to be red flagged, and he told and to be told by Jeff Helander that I was failing field work on my 6th day of internship. He said that Camille said me, him, and her were going to have a meeting on the 5th of March. He went on to say that he had only called them because he had a problem leaving his interns with other OTs and was going to extend my time because he was taking a couple days off of work. So he had called them now because he was going to take a couple of days off of work. He went on to say that he had only called them because of that, and he didn't want to leave interns with other OTs, and he was going to extend my time. So he said that he didn't think I was doing well enough to be left on my own. Come to find out, he'd already left me for 5 hours at this point, alone. Like, why would I need to be left alone when this is my first ever internship? I've only been there for not even 5 days, and you're telling me that you were going to take days off and leave me alone? Really? You were already leaving me alone? So, like, what is going on here? You know? Then Mr. Helander told Camille that he did not understand his issue with leaving interns with other OTs, and he hadn't meant to get me in trouble, but that she was red flagging me, but I should hang in there even though I was headed for failure and he was rooting for me. So apparently when he called her to ask if I could be sent with other OTs, she took that as I'm a bad student and that I needed to be put on a certain watch list so she would come and observe me after not even 10 days at the job. Okay. I was not ever notified by Casey Humphrey or Camille about being red flagged. They didn't tell me this or anything. Jeff Helander also told me that he wanted me to have every day planned with the schedule for the clients I was going to see and all the interventions planned for each person. He said that I should have been doing this since the 20th of February. And again, you guys, we started on the 16th. So he wanted me to have everything detailed out and to basically make every client that he had on his list. And I was going to do it all basically alone after 4 days of being there. But don't forget, you guys, I had already been left alone for almost 5 hours after that. So, yeah. And I'm trying to think, let's see, what day was it that he said that, on here, it was saying 2 hours. Okay, so on the 16th, he left me for 2 hours. And then another day, he left me for 3 hours. So that was almost a whole 5 hours. And I was only there for like 5 days at this point. So 1 day, so 4 days. Like, he was trying to make me do his whole job. At 4 days, you guys. At 4 days of being there. Like, that's just unheard of. You know what I'm saying? So I was already in shock. I was already in dismay. I was already having a mental problem, like, of being able to address what was happening. I was being told I was being failed within not even 5 days of being there. I was very mentally I was not doing well. Mentally, where I was being told that I was being failed, this man was trying to, he was slamming government property. He was leaving me alone. He was like doing all of these things, and I'm being told that he's talking to my advisors, and they're saying that they're going to fail me, and he's telling me that he's not going to accommodate me, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my gosh, what am I going to freaking do? Like, I remember leaving that day in shambles for like the weekend of my first week there. I remember being so upset, and that we had a 3-day weekend. And I hadn't been there very long, which was even more upsetting. And if you guys think that what I'm saying now is crazy, like, when I start telling you more about like what's really going on and what they did from that point on, you're going to really see where I believe this was calculated. This was definitely manipulated. And I think they just did it on purpose. And I cannot scream to you guys enough to advocate for yourself, to advocate for the people around you, to help them to know what is right and what is wrong, and to stand up for yourself. And me, as a girl that had just lost her grandma, like not even like 8 months prior, being told the few months, 3 months ago before this, that I was failing, for them to fail me, for me to have to go through a contract with this college that had already broke the contract by making me redo the entire class that I wasn't supposed to do. I was supposed to only do parts that I failed. They made me redo everything for that class. They made me go just redo it all. And if I had actually been bad at that class, you would have thought that I would have made a C or even a B in my OTS 871 that I had to retake in 3 weeks. That was originally a 12-week course. And I made a freaking A. Okay? I made an A, which means I wasn't stupid like they were saying. They just kept telling these OTs bad things about me, so they would make assumptions, and they would be judgmental, and that they would just like, tear me down as a person. For what reason? For what reason did they get? What kind of gratification do you think that they received for tearing down a 24-year-old basically child? What kind of happiness did they receive? I do wonder that. I wonder that all the time. And I just am flabbergasted by how this went down. And yes, there's more, you guys. There's so much more to this. As I continue moving on through the chronological order, I just want to make sure that I have everything set for you guys to understand. I'm going to try my best to give you guys the emails that we had talked about, and how I went backwards and forwards with these people as much as I can. I'm also going to try my absolute best to get these recordings that I have of what they said and what they did, and just everything that they did put out there for you guys to hear, because it needs to be heard. It needs to be heard. It needs to be said, because no person should ever have to go through what I did. No one should have to be discriminated against so badly that this happened. This should have never happened. I just want you guys to know that this is, I have all these emails that they were sending to people. I'm going to read them, and hopefully I can get them in order for you guys, so I can just have it all there, because this is heartbreaking, and it wrenches my heart just to think about sometimes. And I know I feel like I say this all the time, but it's just so hard, you guys. It's just so hard, and I just want you guys to know that it has taken me so long to be able to talk about this, and to really just open up to you on this podcast. Just even read this part to you, what I have done today, has been very hard on me. And I just want you to know that I just want to help somebody or any person that hears this to know that they are worthy, they are amazing, they are kind, they are smart, they are funny, and they are an extraordinary human. These things that these people do and what they say to you do not define who you are. And I know that that's hard to think about when you say, oh, they're telling me this over and over. All these people keep saying it, but it doesn't define you. The Lord, He made you in a masterpiece. He made you an image. Nobody, and I mean nobody, can replace who you are. You are one of a kind. And it's just, I just need you to know that you are more than what these people say. And I know you're like, well, I worked my life for this, like whatever goal it was that you had, and you didn't make it. But I want to let you know the Lord has something better for you. And no matter how hard it is or what it seems like you're going through, it's going to get better. So anyway, I'm going to continue on with the rest of the story. But today I do think that I am done talking about what has happened. Just because it is very hard to talk about. And I just want to start over next week when we go through this, because I want to be more fresh and I want to be able to let you guys hear more about what's happened, and just know that I really want to hear from you guys and I want to talk to you, and you can go on this journey of healing with me and I can go on a journey of healing with you. Yeah, so I'm just so thankful to have you. Thanks for coming. Know that you're amazing, kind, smart, funny, and an extraordinary human. And again, who needs a therapist when you have a friend? I'll talk to you later.